everyone, welcome to Watch It Paint It. Today I'm painting Glynda from Zombicide Black Plague, who could also be used in Massive Darkness if you have the crossover kit. I thought I'd paint some more of the crossover models while I'm waiting for my copy of Massive Darkness to arrive. So I've started by showing you all the paints that I'll use in this tutorial, and then I'll move on to priming the models. So as always, I'm blue tacking them down to some cardboard outside in my garden so I don't spray fumes all over my house. This stop them blowing over with the spray and or the wind. There's Glynda appearing just there, and another Zombicide character. And then I take the Barbarian flesh colour from the army painter and apply the paint evenly and slowly and steadily from side to side until I build up a small amount of primer on the model that I can paint on top of. So I'm going to be starting the base coat here with leather brown from the army painter Zombicide Black Plague kit, and I will be using the regiment brush and applying this to her pants or trousers if you're from the UK. As you can see there, I'm going to be using the Blue Violet by Vallejo, and this is for her top. And instantly you could see there I was using the regiment brush and I've switched straight down to the detail brush. This character is a dwarf in Zombicide and she is very, very small. This is one of the probably the smallest models I've painted in terms of like the teeny tiny details, as well as because she's a dwarf she's even smaller than the regular Zombicide characters. I'm also covering her shoes in the same purple, you can see there. And then I'm going to be using the Army Painter Zombicide set Toxic Boils, which is a lighter purple. It's pinkish purplish, and this is for the second tone of purple that she has on her outfit, which are her sleeves on her arms and the little dangle cloth between her legs there, as well as the covers on her legs there. So cold grey is for using on these bits of material that are on her shoulders, just below her armour and on top of the sleeves, as well as her satchel on the side there and on the front bit as well that you can see there, as well as her little corset I'm doing in grey, just to give it a different tone by the end of the model, so all these purples can look slightly different and give some depth to the model. Also painting the back of a corset there, all again with the detail brush, with this model being so small. Charred brown, a dark brown there by Vallejo, every time, however it should be pronounced. This is for the shaft of a huge hammer, which might actually be really small depending on how big this dwarf actually is, as well as the head of the hammer there. A very dark wood effect. I've switched back to the regiment brush for this because that's very easy to paint, and I wanted to apply the paint quickly, speed up my model painting time as I often do. So now we're going back to the leather brown by the army painter. I needed to paint in her tops before we came back to this colour, and this is for the straps across her chest. You can see there, detail brush again, taking my time with this bit. These are very, very small dwarfs straps, as well as the one on a little headpiece there. She's wearing a leather band with some metal studs. I'm also going to paint in her belts below her top, and paint in the bottom of her trousers there. I'm going to be using the Zombicide's Machinegun metal. This is my dark silver, and I'm going to be painting her armour, which all looks sort of plate mail-ish, so I think the darker silver looks better. Certainly looks more comparable to the image on the card that comes with the character. So that's for her leg armour there, as well as the strap across her shoe and the strap on the other side across her shoe, and then I'll also do her shoulder pad in the same Machinegun metal. She's also got two gauntlets, one on each arm there, with two straps around her wrists, so I'll be painting those in the same silver. Just getting nice and prepared for when Massive Darkness finally arrives. I've seen the shipping to the UK started, got my tracking number, but it's not actually being collected by Royal Mail yet. I'm going to be using Brainmatter Beige, Army Painter's White, and this is the bandages that are around their the shaft of the hammer for her to hold, as well as the skull that's on her little headdress there. Claymore blades next. This is the lighter of the silvers, and this is for the chain and the butt of her hammer, as well as the two spikes on the hammer head and the metal strap that goes around the hammer head to hold it to the shaft. And I also, if you saw, just very quickly painted the chain around her neck, her choker, in silver there. Next is Bright Gold by the Army Painter, and this is to do her hoop earrings. Unfortunately, my model's sort of mismolded and the earrings have not come out well, so I'm not spending a lot of time on this, as you can barely even tell what they are. So we're using another leather brown, this time by Vallejo, and this is a lighter leather brown, a more yellow goldeny brown, and this is to paint on her hair, her mohawk here, as you can see. I'm using the regiment brush here, as it's very easy to access. So now I've finished the base coat. To protect the model, I'm switching to putting her on my model holder from Quickdraw Supplies. The link will be in the description below if anyone's interested in seeing these. I've also done a review of that product. So I'm on to washing now. The base coat's done, and I'm starting with the Flesh Wash by the Army Painter, and this is to do all of her skin. Onto the Toxic shader now. This is a purple wash, and this is to do all the purple areas. So that's her top, dangle cloth, her sleeves, the leg cloth, and both of her shoes. So I'm still using the regiment brush here. I will use this for all of the washes, and for the third and final wash I'm going to be using the Survivor shader, the black wash by the Army Painter. This is to do all of the brown areas, her hair, well, I guess that's brown as well, even though it's yellowy brown, all the metals, sort of all those darker areas. So I'm on to highlighting, and I'm going to start by, as I always do, highlighting up the skin. So I'm using the detail brush in the Survivor skin, which is a match to the Barbarian flesh primer that I used at the beginning. So I'm going to be catching all the extremities of her skin, so her nose, her cheeks, her lips, all of her fingers, especially the knuckles. I'm going to be using the blue violet, which was the same colour that I did her top in, and her shoes. So I'm going to be highlighting up all the raised areas of this, so around her boobs and the outline of her top, and all the edges of her shoes, including the heel there that you can see. Hopefully you can see that's already looking quite 3D, quite deep, giving some depth to the model. I'm going to be using Toxic Boils, and I'm mixing that about 50-50 with the blue violet, and this is to give the final highlight on these dark purple areas. So this is really just to catch the very edges, so the edges of her toes, the edges of her top. I'm afraid my camera ran out of batteries there, so it died halfway through painting that, but then I'm just using neat Toxic Boils here, and this is to highlight the extremities of the lighter purple, so the cloth between her legs and her sleeves there, as well as this leg warmer she has on her right leg. She's very trendy, she only wears one. Maximum coolness. So I'm taking the Claymore blade, the lighter of the two silvers that I'm using, and this is to do the highlights on all of the metals. So I'm catching her leg guard there, her thigh guard, all the chains, and as you can see that's catching very nicely. It's already giving quite a good effect of light hitting all the metal areas, catching the spikes on her hammers, as well as all of the buckles on the straps across her feet, and the studs on her hammer, and all the studs around her little headdress there. Being very careful not to catch anything other than the metal. There we go. Next up is the coal grey to highlight back up her corset there, you can see, and the satchel on her hip, and the sleeve dark material bit. I'm not really sure what they are or what they're for, but they are a different colour to her purple. I'm going to be using the Army Painter's leather brown to highlight back up her pants or trousers, catching her buttocks and all of the sort of folds in the material there. I'm also going to be using the same colour to highlight up the head of her hammer, catching all the edges and blending it down towards the darker bit in the middle. I'm going to also catch the shaft of the hammer there as well. I'm going to use Vallejo's leather brown to do a final highlight on all of those areas, catching the very edges of all of those folds, and the edge of the trousers that are showing through under her leg warmer there. I'm also going to use the same colour to highlight up all of her hair, so I'm painting each strand there to give a strong highlight. I'm going to be using dead black, and this is how I've painted all of my Zombicide bases. So it's just plain black base for all the heroes. I'm also going to do all the Massive Darkness heroes in exactly the same style. It's a very quick, simple base, but I think it's fairly effective, and it does allow me to see which ones are heroes very easily on the board, as all of my hordes are rebased with the clear bases as I demonstrated in the Deadeye Walker video last week. So that's Glynda completely finished, ready to play in Zombicide or Massive Darkness. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching.